That was me picking all 6 strings, but you only ever heard one note come out of my guitar. And here's the crazy part. I wasn't even trying to pick cleanly. And that's the mistake most guitarists make. They obsess over picking accuracy, when the truth is, you don't need to be a great picker to play really good classic rock and blues guitar. And that's because there's a hidden secret that pros use that lets them get away with sloppy picking and still sound awesome. And today we're tackling one of the biggest differences between amateur and pro guitarists: left-hand muting. It's the skill you can't see, but you can always hear the difference. My name is Max Rich, and I teach guitarists how to use biomechanics in order to play cleaner, better, and with way less effort. We've all heard ourselves play and thought, that sounds really messy. I'm playing all the right notes, but it doesn't sound anything like the original track. The real problem is that your fretting hand doesn't know how to stop the sound. You see, every note has 2 jobs: to start and to stop. And most players train the first one. They know how to start a note, they know how to pluck it. But pros have mastered how to stop the sound. And that's why picking accuracy doesn't matter as much as you think it does, because your fretting hand decides what gets heard and what doesn't. Watch any of your favorite classic rock guitarists, especially when the energy's real high on stage. Their picking hand is flying back and forth wildly, and there's just no way they can be accurate like that. And yet they sound tight with power and control. So how do they do that? And the first step is a technique that I call pumping. Do you ever let go of a chord and still hear notes ringing afterwards? It's because you're not stopping the sound before you lift your fingers off. And the fix is you actually release the pressure in your fingers without lifting them off the string. That kills the sound instantly and can lock in your rhythm and keep everything nice and tight. Biomechanically, you're pretty much just controlling the decay of the string, and you're doing it by relaxing. You use energy to fret the strings and relaxation to stop them. When you use pumping, you have to think of it as a 2-step motion. You release the pressure in your finger, that's motion 1, and then you lift your fingers off to get to the next chord, that's motion 2. And if you combine those 2 motions into one motion, and you release and lift at the same time, that's when you get all this unwanted noise. And this is exactly why your rhythm and chord playing doesn't sound as tight as it should, because you have all these tiny open strings ringing when you should have total silence. And that just kills your rhythm. Try this. Play an E power chord and focus on releasing the pressure through relaxation right after you strum it. Put on a metronome and try playing the chord on the click, and try muting it on the offbeat, or where the and would be. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Learning how to play the chord is as important as learning how to stop the chord. So when you're playing rhythm guitar, keep this in mind. Clean rhythm starts with controlled silence. Next up is one of the most common forms of muting, finger muting. This is where you're playing a note and the fingers you're not using lightly touch the string in order to stop it from ringing. This is not about power, this is about feel, this is about touch. If you touch that string too lightly, it's going to keep ringing. You try to hit it too hard and press down on it, you're accidentally going to do a hammer-on. Either one is bad because you're trying to get silence. Good finger muting is what will give you that Texas blues groove, that bouncing, tight, percussive sound. And just like with pumping, the mute has to be in time. The only difference is, on Lagrange, you're putting the mute on the beat and the chord is on the off beat. So put on your metronome and try to play a chord on the and of every beat and mute it on the downbeat. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Notice how all my fingers work as one unit from the big knuckle? They don't separate and come back together. It's just a hinge movement. Now the easiest way to do this type of muting is when you're playing a note or a chord with your index finger. But you can do it if you're playing on your middle or your ring. And so this 3-fret exercise is a great drill to practice to get used to muting single notes using this technique. Once you get the basic movement of stopping individual strings with whatever finger you have, then you can start going for speed and timing of the mute. And this works for chords and single notes. So if I want to play a C major chord and I have my pinky, I can use that to mute. One last little biomechanical tip is you probably noticed when I'm muting, all the mute fingers are straight. They function like little capos almost to stop every single string. Because what I don't want is I don't want to try muting with a curved finger and miss one of the strings and have that thing ring. So I just smother everything and that way I'm guaranteed silence. And so I want to know if this is helping you out. Try it right now with your guitar, go grab it, and let me know in the comments if it's working. All right, this is the big one. This is the one that'll ensure that no matter how sloppy your picking gets, you'll still sound fantastic. I call it the Hendrix mute because Hendrix did it all the time. But you'll see Jimmy Page, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Clapton, every single classic rock guitarist uses this technique. Now, if you were paying attention, you saw my picking hand. Like, I was not trying to hit individual notes, but everything was coming out crisp and clean. And that's because I was using this technique. You're fretting one note only, and you're plucking all 6 strings, but you're only hearing that one note that you're fretting. Now, let's break down kind of the biomechanics of this. You watch your favorite guitarists, their thumb is always up over the top of the neck. That is absolutely essential. Because what that does is that tends to flatten your fingers a little bit against the fretboard. If you drop your thumb, your fingers have to curve. And if your fingers are curved, you're not going to be able to do this technique. So once you get your thumb in place, you need to be able to bend from the middle knuckle of your fingers, meaning you need to be able to do this. And if you can't do that, that means you need a little bit of tendon flexibility. It's not out of reach. And if you want, you can go ahead and check out the video in the card above for a great exercise on how to improve that skill. So go ahead, grab, let's say the 7th fret G string with your ring finger, kind of like you're in the middle of an A minor pentatonic scale. Put your thumb over the top so that you're muting the low E. Then lay your index and middle flat across all 6 strings and let your ring finger come not totally flat, but a little bit flat so that it can mute the 2 high strings. If you do that right, you should be in business. Now, the fact that I'm hitting 6 strings is part of what gives classic rock guitarists that awesome, amazing tone. Because if I only played one note individually, it just wouldn't have the cojones, we'll say, that you might find when you listen to Hendrix or Stevie Ray Vaughan or something. And the fantastic thing about this technique is that you can turn that fretted note into a vibrato, into a bend, whatever you want. In fact, if you use this to bend, you get this really cool rake sound going into your bend. So this really frees up your picking because you can strum wildly and you can still get that single individual note, and it gives you better tone. It's like a win-win. And so here's the real takeaway. Clean, amazing classic rock playing isn't really about picking accuracy. It's about muting. So you use pumping for rhythmic clarity, and you use finger muting for tight precision, and the Hendrix mute for that arena rock sound, that controlled chaos. You combine all of them and you're going to start sounding fantastic. You're going to sound like a pro even when your picking is super loose. Now, does this mean you should not become a good picker or you should not work on your picking? Of course not. For those of you guys who watch me, you know me well enough by now. But if you can incorporate muting as you're also working on your picking, there's nothing going to stop you. And so for some great tips on picking accuracy, check out this video. And if you want to dive deeper into the biomechanics, the stuff that actually fixes and changes your technique, check out my hand mechanics workshop down in the link below.